is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black. We are Minnesota.
A perfect Sunday afternoon in Chicago as the Twins try to win the series and the road trip. They are 4-4 so far on the trip and hoping to head back to Target Field on a winning note. Minnesota remains just one game behind Texas for that final wild card spot with 21 games left on the regular season schedule, which ends 3 weeks from today. Welcome inside U.S. Cellular Field on a beautiful day. I'm Jamie Hirsch. Today, the Twins will face Chris Sale for the 6th time this season. They've done a good job getting to him, and Kyle Gibson has done a good job handling the White Sox. He is 2-0 in 3 starts against Chicago this season, including 2 8-inning gems. Now, Gibson's also coming off another 8-inning performance in which he gave up 4 runs in the first inning, but then he was lights out after that. And he says he learned a lot from that start.
You got to be able to make adjustments, I think. And that's the one thing that I wasn't able to do fast enough. Now, for the most part, I'm probably not going to give up 4 runs and 9 pitches again. On 5 or 6 batters, that's just not going to happen a whole lot. So, but I got to be able to execute certain pitches and limit that damage. If I'd have made a little bit better pitch to Hosmer and been able to get a ground ball, you never know. It could have been only 1 or 2 runs that inning, and the game's drastically different. So, there's no need to sit back and make excuses or try to rationalize what happened because it already happened. So you just got to move on and learn from it.
Gibson will move on to make his 29th start of the season. That's more than any other Twins pitcher, and they'll rely on him to bring his best today because he's going up against one of the best in the business. Chris Sale is amazing, but the Twins have done very well against him so far. Dick and Roy explain how after this break.
Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Dodge. Keep summer performing with great deals now during the Dodge Labor Day sales event. How lucky are we? It's an absolutely gorgeous September day for baseball in Chicago, and today the Twins will wrap up the road trip and their series with the White Sox. And good Sunday afternoon to you from U.S. Cellular Field. Dick Bramer and Roy Smalley with you for the series finale. It is said of some pitchers they'll give you a comfortable 0 for 4. Then there are guys like Chris Sale who will give you an uncomfortable 0 for 4. But for whatever reason, the Twins have had more than their share of success against Chris Sale this year.
There are two things that a lineup has to do when you're facing a guy with as nasty stuff as Chris Sale has. The first thing is you have to not take 2-strike swings at pitches before you have 2 strikes. In other words, don't help him by swinging at balls around the perimeter. Get the ball in the middle of the plate, and the Twins have done that very well. They have made him throw the ball in the middle, and then they've done the second thing. When you get it in the middle, you got to hit it and hit it hard. Put it in play, drive in runs. That's what the Twins have done this year so far against one of the best in the business. He would be having some kind of great season were it not for the stats that the Twins have put up against him.
And yet it is odd that the Twins would face one pitcher 6 times in one season. That's the way it's played out for the Twins this year against the Chicago White Sox and Chris Sale. The Twins have spent 3 of the last 4 weeks on the road, and today that tough stretch comes to an end. Sox nobody wants to face is Chris Sale, but for whatever reason, the Twins have handled him very well. This one will stay fair and leave in a hurry. Nunez drives it on a line, and that's gone. A 7-run inning for the Twins. And the Twins strike early again against Chris Sale. And that ball is off the wall. And the Twins put up another crooked number against Chris Sale. And that has been the story of Chris Sale's season against the Minnesota Twins. The Twins have had 2 2-run innings, 2 3-run innings, a 4-run inning, and a 7-run inning against a guy who most teams are lucky to get 1 or 2 runs against over the course of the whole game. And for the 6th time this year, Paul Molitor in his rookie season will face one of the nastiest left-handers in the game. Hoping to finish this road trip with a 5-4 mark. Here's the Menards batting order for the Twins in the series finale. Aaron Hicks leading off, then Brian Dozier, Joe Mauer, Miguel Sano, Trevor Plouffe, Torrey Hunter, Eddie Rosario, Kurt Suzuki, and Eduardo Escobar.
And Chris Sale on the mound. We know him by now. Everybody should. 95 to 98 mile an hour fastball, nasty slider, good changeup. Just very, very good stuff.
First pitch knocked down by the third baseman Olton. Hicks will be aboard with an infield hit. We've seen the Twins do a lot of that, attacking Sale early in the at-bat, similar to what the White Sox did in the fourth inning to Tommy Milone last night.
There's no reason to wait. As we talked about in the open of the show, you're only going to be able to hit fastballs or breaking balls in the middle of the strike zone. That's what you have to be very aggressive about looking for and hitting them when you get them. If he throws it on the corners, if he throws it on the perimeter high or low, you're not going to hit that ball effectively.
Brian Dozier hitting .306 against Sale. He's also hit 3 home runs against him. Swings at the first pitch and misses. 0-1.
And that's what I'm talking about right there. That pitch is going to be very, very difficult to hit, and even if you make contact with it. Now you're 0-1, or and you haven't seen a ball in the middle yet. He can really work on it. You have to be disciplined to get the ball in the middle.
Hicks checked at first. We've seen him pick up a couple of steals here in Chicago. Tyler Flowers has a very good arm behind the plate, and he and Sale do a nice job of shutting down the running game. Dozier sends it high and foul down the left field line. 0-2. Sale beat the Twins in his first outing of the year against the Twins on April 12th here. Twins are really scuffling in that first week of the season, and the White Sox gave Sale a 2-0 lead after the first, and he went on to beat the Twins 6-2. Since then, 0-3 with a no decision. And Dozier strikes out, 1 away. And that'll bring up Joe Mauer, but first a look at the White Sox out in the field. J.B. Shuck is in left field. Adam Eaton in center. Trace Thompson in right. Holt is at third. Tyler Saladino at short. Micah Johnson at second. Adam LaRoche at first. And Flowers behind the plate. Here is Mauer. Out on top, something they've done regularly against Sale. Twins won 1 game in Houston, 2 in Kansas City in the first game here. Strike on the outside corner. Referenced both long road trips, the 10-gamer that preceded this road trip. And as we begin play here today, those 6 series have seen the Twins go 10-8 so far, with 1 game left. There goes Hicks, and the pitch grounded to the right side. Johnson flips to first, and Hicks advances into scoring position. There's a runner at second, 2 down for Sano.
Good jump that time by Aaron Hicks. Read the move very well. Stayed out of the double play with the ground ball to second. So Hicks in scoring position for the big guy.
Over the course of this road trip, we've seen Sano get some time off in Kansas City. And at the end of the road trip, his hamstring is much better than it was at the start of the road trip. And this road trip started with the Twins a game and a half behind Texas in the wild card standings. And they are now just 1 game. So at this point, they've actually gained ground on this long and difficult road trip. Sano 2 for 3 against Sale. And they matched up against each other earlier this month. 1-1. On September 1st, the Twins scored 4 runs in the second inning against Sale. He did not take a loss. Twins won the game. Sale with a no decision. Off the middle, a base hit. Hicks around third, and he'll score. And again, the Twins have struck quickly against Chris Sale. Sano driving in his 44th run.
Good swing right there. Good pitch selection. Ball right in the middle of the plate. Down for big guy. Sano tends to like the ball down there. Got it just outside the middle. Went right back through the ball. Look how nicely that head goes down and the body and hands stay through the ball. Very, very nice swing mechanically. Good pitch selection to swing at. Results in the first run of the game, an RBI by Miguel Sano.
Infield hit. Twins sending the runner on what could otherwise have been a double play grounder. Getting Hicks at second, then Sano, the cleanup hitter, comes through, and now Trevor Plouffe. Down and in, nearly hit him. Sale has now given up 69 earned runs on the season, 22 of them to the Twins. So I don't know, in Minnesota elementary school they taught me that's about like 1/3 of the runs.
To one team, that's an amazing statistic. It has been amazing to watch the Twins' success against this guy who has such great, nasty stuff.
Not sure he stopped that time.
No, it didn't look like it. There's 97, and Trevor has done a good job so far. And he took the one strike he took so far was right on the corner. Again, that's you're just asking to make an out if you're swinging a ball on the corner against this guy early in the count.
So and now to right center field, a base hit. Thompson and Sano thought about third. He'll hold up. You see again Sano slamming on the brakes and reversing field. Further evidence that his hamstring is feeling better. 3 hits in the inning, and now Hunter.
Well, again, take the one early on the corner and then get that one down in the middle of the zone where you can handle it. And again, you see the nice hands through the ball, the head down. This is what the Twins have done against Sale every game except the first one that Dick mentioned when Sale beat him 6-2. They have made him throw the ball in the middle of the plate, and they've hit it when they got it.
And Hunter drives one deep down the line, but foul, 1 strike. I guess, to put it another way, this is a guy who's about as good as they get in missing bats. Chris Sale strikes out a lot of people, and yet the Twins have not only made contact, solid contact. 1 strike to Hunter. And now 0-2.
I always felt like when I was facing a guy that threw extra special hard or who had really, really great stuff, and I wanted to make my strike zone, my hit zone, smaller and smaller and smaller. I wanted to get it, my zone that I was looking in, right in the middle of the strike zone where I wanted it. Everything else I would just take until I got to 2 strikes.
Chopped up the line, foul.
I really, really didn't want to help the guy by swinging at tough pitches before I absolutely had to. And that's what the Twins have done this year against Sale. It's been a remarkable string of really, really solid at-bats up and down the lineup against this guy.
Hunter battling on 0-2. A foul to the screen. 98 miles per hour.
The reason he gets so many strikeouts, besides the fact that he can throw 98 by people, is that even when you're fouling the ball off like Torrey's done, had some good swings, it can't help but impress you that he's throwing 98 and you start to get in a little bit of a hurry to catch up with that, and then he's got that great slider.
And another foul. Wasting some 0-2 pitches from Sale. Check your swing, 1-2. Twins roster has 6 home runs against Sale. Dozier with 3, Hunter with 2. Kicks away and into the seats, and everybody moves up a base. So now a hit to the outfield might score a pair. And Hunter strung the count out now to 2-2 on the wild pitch. Sano moves to third, Plouffe to second. Now from the windup. Another pitch fouled back. Great battle here by the veteran Hunter against Sale.
Very good battle. Torrey fouling off some tough pitches, some high velocity fastballs. Fouled off one pretty good breaking ball. Hasn't seen the one down the back foot yet. That's the real nasty one.
And just wide of the line. Hunter reaching across the plate. Sending it just foul. Now you look at the pitch count, and it's up to 22. Seemingly half of them in this at bat. Now to left center and deep. Shot going back. That ball is gone. What an at bat for Torrey Hunter. And the Twins jump on Sale with a 4-run first.
As good at bat as you will see now or any time. Just a battling, fouling tough pitches off until he finally got one in the middle of the strike zone and tattooed it over the left center field fence. A huge battle and swing by a veteran hitter.
For Hunter, the 350th home run of his major league career, and his first since his late home run in Cleveland on August 7th. Rosario swings and misses.
You know, Torrey has talked about what you have to do against Sale is not try to do too much and be short and quick to the ball, just to try to get the big end to it as best you can, as quickly as you can. And he did exactly that. Watch this swing. Watch how short and how fast his hands are to the ball. Really abbreviated swing. It wasn't the classic Torrey big swing up there. It was just very short and quick to the ball.
And now Rosario hooks a base hit to right. 5 hits in the inning. And that'll bring up Suzuki. And it'll bring out, I think, for the 3rd time in this series, a first inning mound visit from the Chicago pitching coach Don Cooper. Yesterday he came out to talk to Quintana, with Quintana really struggling with his control. How about Sale having the type of outing that Kyle Gibson had in Kansas City, and apparently the message from Neil Allen that day, and we saw him very vocal, and he was the only one talking, and basically what he said was, all right, that's it. That's all they get. It's 4-0, and they're not going to get anything else. Turned around, went back, and Gibson, whether the talk had anything to do with it or not, but he didn't give up anything more after that.
Yeah, a lot of times a coach, manager will have to have the kind of conversation with the players says, okay, enough, figure it out. You just have to figure it out now. And it really appeared that that's what the message was from Kyle Gibson's pitching coach Neil Allen, and he certainly did figure it out.
Doesn't get any easier for Sale in terms of matchups. Suzuki's 8 for 21 against him.
Our colleague Jack Morris is a firm believer in the fact that now the Twins are in Chris Sale's head, that he just can't figure out what to do against him to get him out like he can get everybody else in the league out seemingly.
4 runs aside. Now you're looking at 28 pitches.
Right.
He struck out Dozier, got Mauer on a ground ball. There goes Rosario, pitch up and away, and Rosario is out at second base. And Rosario's a little dinged up. And it looks like Micah Johnson is okay, but Rosario went in with a slide at second base, and Twins aren't quite giving up on this inning just yet. A feet first slide, and we've seen Rosario use that almost exclusively.
Well, they're going to look at it because of where he tagged him. He tagged him high.
It looks like he got him, and
yep. then Rosario's ankle hit. It looked like jammed into the bag pretty well.
And his right leg got tangled up with Johnson. No challenge, a 4-0 start for the Twins. And Kyle Gibson has some early run support as the Twins try to win the road trip finale. The Twins another 4-run inning against Chris Sale and Robin Ventura for the 500 mark against the Twins, remembering that in his first year with the White Sox they had the type of year the Twins are having this year. They surprised a lot of people, won a lot of ball games, but it's been a struggle ever since. The Menards batting order for the White Sox: Adam Eaton, Tyler Saladino, then Jose Abreu, Adam LaRoche, Trace Thompson, J.B. Shutt, Michael, Tyler Flowers, and Micah Johnson.
Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Twins. 7 real good innings after a tough first inning last start against Kansas City. See if he can get command right away of his 3 pitches and attack that strike zone. He's been spotted a 4-run lead. See if he can throw a lot of strikes.
Missing inside 2-0 in his start against Kansas City. He was behind 4-0. 9 pitches into the game. First 2 batters got hits, first and third, 2 pitches into the game, and now a strike 2 and 1. And then he obviously settled down and dominated afterwards and gave some relief pitchers a much needed night off. 2 and 1. Strike called, 2 and 2.
Good sinker there. In the first inning in Kansas City, he had a very, very difficult time commanding his fastball. He threw a bunch of them right in the middle of the plate. The Royals were looking for fastballs in the middle early so they wouldn't get that sinker or slider change up. They tattooed him.
Inside nearly hit him, full count.
And that's a pitch right there. The slider on that corner, back foot to left-handers outside the right-handers that he's going to have to command for him to be effective. After the first inning in Kansas City, he threw a lot of sliders and changeups. It really kind of saved him. It confused the hitters, got him right back on his game.
Chopper to second. Took a while, but Eaton's retired. 5 prior starts for Gibson against the White Sox, and he's 3-0 with a 2.60 earned run average. Twins out in the field. Rosario in left, Hicks in center, Hunter in right. Loof, Escobar, Dozier, Mauer, the infielders. Suzuki, A, because he wants to play, and B, because he's hit Chris Sale pretty well in the lineup again. When we left Kansas City, we weren't sure we were going to see Kurt Suzuki at all for the rest of the year. Remember, he left the final game Wednesday night with that collision with Gerard Dyson, and instead he's made all 3 starts.
It's going to be very, very difficult for Paul Molitor the rest of the way to find Kurt Suzuki a bit of rest.
And a strike 1-1. Saladino's seen some time at third base. White Sox taking a look at him at short here today with Olt on the team. Inside 2-1.
You know, it's interesting. Saladino, some guys telling me, was a really, really good player at shortstop in the minor leagues. Be interesting to see what the White Sox do.
2 Hopper to Plouffe. 2 down. And then Gibson's getting his outs on ground balls too, encouraging here in the first inning. That'll bring up Abreu with the bases empty.
And I just say it's interesting to see what they'll do with the shortstop situation. The White Sox need players, as we've been talking about this series, and one way to get players would be to have a good shortstop replacement for a valuable commodity like Alexei Ramirez might be to somebody. Get some players in return. Be interesting to see.
Abreu, the designated hitter.
That's a really good pitch right there. If he could get that pitch in that spot, White Sox are going to have trouble. And he's pitched Abreu very, very well in his past meetings with the big slugger, throwing that slider outside, then coming in with fastballs like that.
You saw the numbers there. 18 runs batted in 19 games last year against the Twins, and he's driven in just 2 runs against the Twins this year.
Kyle Gibson has the kind of stuff. They want to pitch him inside and make him conscious in there and then get him out away.
1-2.
So you can see how they're doing. Slider outside, fastball in, changeup. You want to get him thinking that he's going to see the ball inside where he can hit it a long way to left field. Just show it to him in there and then get him out away with something softer. Slider on the outside corner, trying. Oh, he hung it. Got away with it.
Out to center. And Hicks with a catch, and Gibson responds to his early run support with a 1-2-3 burst. Twins 4-0. They lead Chris Sale and the White Sox. And today's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. You can see what we were talking about. Sale with the ability to miss bats, and a lot of them, averaging over 12 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. Kurt Suzuki was at the plate when Rosario was caught stealing, and so he'll start the second inning with a fresh count. One strike. Now popped up. Twins scored a couple of first inning runs last night, and Quintana threw a lot of pitches in the first inning, but then he settled down. The Twins let him off the hook, whichever you'd prefer. Nothing was done much offensively after that. 1-2.
Today, I think the Twins have an opportunity to kind of put this game away early if they can mount another inning where they, or several, of course, but at least another inning where they score a couple of runs. Good slider there. But if they, the White Sox, end of the season, they're out of it. Second to last place. I think if you thump their ace on the mound with 2 really good innings somewhere after, now one more after the first, you can get them down a little bit, get them into the bullpen, get them down, and then have Kyle Gibson throw a lot of strikes, and you can kind of put this game away.
Here's Escobar. And a breaking ball over, strike one. And now strike two. For symmetry's sake, all the Twins have to do is put together a 7-run inning here against Sale at some point. They will have had 2 2-run innings, 2 3-run innings. They've already gotten 2 4-run innings, and Twins gave up a 7 spot last night. Popped up short center, and Eaton just over a few steps. 2 down. And that'll get us back to the top of the order, and Aaron Hicks. Hicks on the first pitch hit a smash to the left of Olt. It kicked off his glove for an infield hit. Then the next 2 batters were retired, but Sano with a big 2-out RBI single. Plouffe single. And Hunter with a classic at bat. And a 3-run home run, and that's how we got to 4-0. 1 strike to Hicks. 1-1. The other option in center field was Byron Buxton, but he's made 2 starts against Sale, and he's 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts. Out in front, and it's 1-2.
See the end of the repertoire there for Chris Sale. A nice changeup right on the outside corner. He does have nasty stuff. He's got 3 plus pitches, and you just got to take advantage when you can.
And now Hicks trying to battle as Hunter did when it was 0-2. Got a piece to keep the at bat alive. And now 2-2. We've seen Hicks's ability to do just that, not expand the strike zone with 2 strikes. Time you'll take a called 3rd strike, but he takes a close pitch there. Now it's a full count with Dozier on deck.
Especially good right-handed is Aaron Hicks at doing exactly what you're saying there, Dick. He's working on it left-handed, getting better, but right-handed he's been very good at that.
Fly to center, and again playable for Eaton, retreating back near the track. And Sale responds with a 1-2-3 second.
Twins have given Kyle Gibson an early 4-0 lead to work with against Chris Sale. Kyle Gibson has meant so much to this Twins team. He's actually starting his 174th inning right now, and that is a lot more than any other Twins pitcher has pitched. Mike Pelfrey next, just about 20 innings behind him. But Paul Molitor said today that this is a pretty good sign Gibson has taken the next step in his career. He said it's easy to forget that this is only his second full season in the big leagues. But when you think about the durability and the overall consistency that he's shown, it is easy to see him being a valuable part of this team for a long time, guys.
Thank you, Jamie. LaRoche hitting one into the shift, one away. And may I say, Jamie, you have been an absolute joy for all of us to work with. Today is your last Twins telecast. You're going, we'll say, for bigger pastures. We don't know how greener they're going to be, but thank you for everything you've done for Twins television. You've been a consummate pro.
Oh, well, Dick, thank you so much. It is with mixed emotions that I say goodbye. I'm excited about the next opportunity, but very sad to say goodbye to my Twins family and the Fox Sports North family. You guys have been so great to work with, and this team has been so much fun to work with. They even took a little team picture with me earlier today, which was really sweet, just melted my heart. So I'm sad to be leaving.
We will stay in touch, and we will thank Jamie again for all her great work. Does such a wonderful job, and I think anybody who comes into contact with her is their day has been brightened at least a little bit, and in some cases maybe even more than
a little bit. And let me just add, Jamie, you've been absolutely terrific. What a professional you have become. Your knowledge of baseball has been remarkable. How hard you've worked to get to the point where you are a true baseball professional, and you're getting to a great opportunity here. And we're really, really happy for you. Sorry as we are to see you go and how much you add to baseball TV in the Twin Cities. It's going to be great, great fun for you and your husband, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Roy. And I do want to say, too, that you have been a big part of that baseball knowledge increase for me since I came. I know I've asked you so many questions that were probably dumb questions, but you were so patient and so kind and have taught me so much. You, along with all the former players that we get to work with, Bert Blyleven and Tim Laudner and Jack Morris. So thank you for all that you've done. And you too, Dick. Thank you.
We wish our best to Jamie. 2 down here in the second inning, and now J.B. Shuck will bat 5 up, 5 down for Kyle Gibson. Shuck getting the left field assignment, even though he's 0 for 8 against Gibson. The alternative for the White Sox, Melky Cabrera, is 0 for 14 against Gibson. So not much to choose from for Robin Ventura. And Gibson just misses the inside corner. And a strike. The other game of principal interest to Twins fans, I think, is the Oakland, Texas game, and that'll get started in about 25 minutes. But there's another game that people need to be aware of, the Angels and Astros game, because the Angels are now just a game behind the Twins in the wild card standings, and you just get the sense that the Angels have loftier goals than that. They're putting some heat on a Houston team that is really struggling away from Minute Maid Park. 1-2 to J.B. Shuck. And now 2-2.
Dick, I really, really believe that Houston, Texas, Minnesota, the Angels, the Yankees are all in play here. And there is absolutely no guarantee about who's going to win the American League West, with so many games between Houston and the Angels, and the Angels and Texas and Houston.
Pop up head towards Dozier. And Gibson has a pair of 1, 2, 3 innings here in Chicago. striking against Chris Sale to open up a 4-0 lead. Carsoup.com trivia question: who are the only two pitchers to lose 5 games in a single season against the Twins? Wow. Have to go back into the 60s for that. Twins have beaten Sale 3 times. Trying to think when that could be, to lose 5 games. You all wonder whether it might not be a relief pitcher, because back in the 60s, you know, he played everybody 18 times, 3-0 to Dozier. But they weren't in 6 different series. Strike. A lot of double headers back then, or a lot more 4-game series. A high fly to left. Shuck retreats. Now on the track. And Dozier left about 10 feet short from his 4th home run against Chris Sale, 1 down.
Yeah, it could be a reliever, but obviously, if it's a starter, it's a frontline guy, a guy that just kept going out there. Like, you know, Chris Sale, you know, is going to pitch all the time, and it's going to probably another guy like that.
I'm going to throw a name out there, and it just popped into my head. It wasn't that long ago, but remember how terrible the Tigers were for a lot of years, but one year in particular. Let's say Mike Maroth, a left-hander,
okay,
who was in the rotation. I think he lost more than 20 games that year. 1-0 to Joe Mauer. And a strike.
But there was also, in that same era, there was a right-hander that lost about 16 or 18 games.
Jeremy Bonderman.
Bonderman, yeah.
Fouled. In 1965, the Twins played the Red Sox 18 times and they won 17 games. So, again, if there were 5 different series back then, maybe Bill Monbouquet or Jim Lombard, or I think who else was in that rotation, Earl Wilson maybe. 2-2 to Mauer. One of the pivotal points in the game, in the first inning, the Twins sent Aaron Hicks on a pitch thrown to Joe Mauer, and he hit a ground ball to second that would have been an inning-ending double play. It's a called third strike. Mauer's out. And instead, the White Sox just got Mauer at first. That kept the inning alive, and then the Twins backed it up with 2 more singles and a home run.
Yeah, it was a very nice call to send Aaron Hicks by Paul Molitor. I thought a lot of times the managers can get intimidated, and I don't mean to use that as strong as it sounds, but just be cautious about running with a left-hander on the mound, with a left-hander's move, and a young guy, relatively young guy on first.
Here's Sano taking inside. It was Sano's 2-out single that started the scoring. Sharp base hit up the middle. And now a ball, 2-0. Sano now has a strike call, 2-1. Now 3 for 4 against Chris Sale. 3-1.
You watch a breaking ball there, miss again. That's one of the things that that seems to me that Chris Sale has not had against the Twins is a real good command of his breaking ball.
Drilled to center, and Eaton ends up playing the ball on one hop. You can forgive him, I think, for retreating on that ball. I think Sano hit that so squarely it knuckled its way out there.
No question about it. You've seen knuckleballs come up to hitter and just the bottom fall out of it. This ball was hammered to center field, and it knuckled on Eaton at the last minute and just dropped straight down. He had a really, really hard time getting a feel for how that ball was going to carry, and then all of a sudden it just didn't.
Sano now 4 for 5 against Chris Sale. There's one hit to center, and Plouffe has his second hit against Chicago left hand.
And there's an example of what I'm talking about. That just kind of an easy breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. I don't mean easy to hit, just a casual breaking ball that didn't have a lot of bite to it, settled right in the middle of the plate. And my impression is that Sale against the Twins, for whatever reason, as we see the breaking ball just settle right there in the hitting zone, my impression is this season Chris Sale has not had his really, really nasty slider against the Twins. He's thrown some good ones, but clearly balls that the Twins were able to lay off of. But to go with that fastball, when he's throwing a really good breaking ball to the back foot of right-handers or backdooring on the outside corner, that's when he gets a lot of strikeouts and gets really, really tough. And I don't have the impression that he's really had command of that breaking ball against this ball club this year.
Hunter grounds it foul. Torrey Hunter in his major league career has had nearly 9,000 at-bats, and I'm not sure he's ever had a better one than the one he had in the first inning.
It was a phenomenal at-bat, and he did everything that he said you have to do against Chris Sale. He said he's got nasty stuff, you have to battle, and then you have to not try to do too much, but be short and quick to the ball. All of those things happen with Torrey.
Out of the right field line and twisting foul. It's 0-2, which is where he was in the first inning before he clobbered the 3-run home run. Doesn't mean you want to get into that 0-2 hole again.
Not exactly where you want to be too many times. The odds are really against you there, as great as that at bat was.
0-2. And he fought off a 2-strike pitch, as he did 3 or 4 times in his first inning at bat. Probably, to be fair, the type of at bat only somebody with almost 9,000 at bats at the age of 40 can have. You'd be hard pressed to expect a Buxton or a Sano or a Hicks, somebody like that, Rosario, to have that type of an at bat against that quality of a pitcher. 1-2.
A couple of things go into that. That's a very, very true statement, and a couple of things go into that. One is he's had so many at-bats. He knows that every at-bat he has is not as absolutely critical in his career. He's pretty relaxed. And secondly, a guy's been around that long, had that many at-bats, not afraid to have some really, really ugly swings. Just do whatever it takes to foul the ball off and give yourself another chance, and not have to think too much about mechanics or anything else up there, which young hitters are prone to do. But just battle.
2-2. And a liner and another base hit for Hunter. He'll drive in another run. Run scoring. Is it possible for somebody 40 years of age to have a coming out party?
Well, at least he's having a coming back party, that's for sure. That's another terrific at bat. He fouled off some tough pitches again, and then watch where this he gets a little change up on the outside corner, and again, not afraid to have it what's less than your A swing. Wait a long time, serve it out into right center field. Wonderful, wonderful at bat. That's a big league at bat right there. Professional hitter.
What minimal stride he's had is done before the pitch is delivered. I mean, he gets the front foot down really early against Sale, or at least he has in those 2 at-bats. This one lined into center by Rosario. He's got 2 hits against Sale, and another run comes in. 4 straight 2-out singles for the Twins against Chris Sale. The Twins played a bad ball game last night. I don't think anybody involved with the team was at all happy with either the outcome or the way the game was played last night, but boy, have they responded here this afternoon.
They sure have. And again, just one more really, really nice at bat by a Twins hitter. This time Eddie Rosario, right back up the middle, not trying to pull the ball, staying with it. That's a very, very nice at bat as well.
There is this as well. The Twins in Kansas City did not take batting practice on Wednesday, and then Thursday was an off day. Friday there were some weather issues here, so batting practice was canceled before the game. Granted, there's cage work that hitters can do, and they do that. And then yesterday the Twins were planning on having batting practice before the game, and they didn't because of some wet field conditions. It rained early in the day here yesterday in Chicago. And so, uncharacteristically, today, Paul Molitor decided we better get out have some batting practice. The White Sox didn't take BP. The Twins did. And you look up on the board, the Twins have 9 hits and 6 more earned runs against Chris Sale.
Well, this kind of run against a pitcher gets in the heads of both sides, and I think Jack Morris is right. I think it's in Chris Sale's head that he's not had any luck at all getting the Twins out this year, and it's certainly in the Twins' head. Today they came to the ballpark thinking they were going to beat this all-star left-hander with the nasty stuff, and I think it's in both of their heads, one negative, one positive.
Whoa! The bat sails over the Chicago dugout. Hit the roof of the dugout, skipped into the crowd. Everybody's okay, and somebody's one bat richer. Oh, that's the way it should go.
That's a heck of a short hop right there. Nice catch.
The bat just kind of skipped up lengthwise to him. Wasn't helicoptering at all. New bat for Suzuki and 1 strike. And to the backstop. Flowers just fanned on that pitch. Oh, what happened there? That was almost a strike.
I think it was a cross-up.
And so now 2 runners move into scoring position for Suzuki.
Watch this pitch to Flowers right here. He's expecting that ball to break. You could see it kind of lean into Suzuki as the ball was coming. I think he thought that was going to be a bigger breaking slider, and the ball stayed out. You're right, dude. He just fanned it.
Pass ball. And now inside to Suzuki, 2-1. Breaking ball grounded to third. Nice pickup by Holt, and he fires across to end the inning. But the Twins string 4 2-out singles together to score 2 more against Chris Sale. Front 6-0. They backed up a 4-run first with a 2-run third. Now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use North Data Strong Fan, and you might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. And Mike Holt will lead off the third for Chicago. Kyle Gibson has been perfect. 6 up, 6 down. Flowers and Johnson will follow. And a first pitch strike. Gibson with just 3 quality starts in 10 starts since the All-Star break. But one of them, his most recent start against the White Sox at Target Field. 1-1. Two and 1. With the 7 innings of shutout ball in Kansas City after his awful first inning, now 2 more today. That's 9 shutout innings on this road trip. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Jamie touched on an interesting fact that Gibson, the leader in innings pitched, now 174 innings, and it's expected that he'll surpass 200. Now 3-2. But next on the innings pitch list is Mike Pelfrey, because Phil Hughes has spent some time on the disabled list, but Hughes is going to come back and pitch Tuesday night against the Tigers. 3-2 to the leadoff man here in the third. Grounded past Plouffe and down the line. Both has another hit. Got a couple last night. Here's Rosario's throw, and he will discourage Holt from trying a double. From the deep left field corner, Rosario got there and came up firing. It's a leadoff single for Holt.
Eddie Rosario gets to the ball so quickly, and his arm strength and accuracy is getting around the league, I think. But you just don't see a two-hop ground ball down the line like this one result in anything less than a double. I mean, you just don't. He backhands the ball. He got there so quickly that he got it before it got to the fence, and that changed everything. That talked the first base coach, Darryl Boston, right into holding his runner at first base. Nice play.
I'll bring up Tyler Flowers, 1 for 12 against Gibson. Inside, ball 1. Flowers, for all intents and purposes, the personal catcher for Chris Sale, even though the White Sox have a couple of other catchers they can use and have used earlier in this series. 1-0. Swing and a miss. Flowers has some power and has bounced into 6 double plays and just under 300 at bats.
Well, if Gibson's going to get a double play here, he's going to have to get his sinker back down in the strike zone where it was the first couple of innings. He went 3-2 on Olt and threw a high sinker that he hit for a single, and then 2 straight high sinkers to Flowers. He's got to get it down.
Grounder towards second. Dozier to Escobar. Escobar to first, double play. Beautifully turned. Dozier to Escobar to Mauer, 2 down.
Just one of the prettiest plays in baseball, that the double play, and especially when it's hit to the second baseman's left, where Brian has to go to his left. It's going to be a long throw. You see here, turns his back to the infield, and Escobar comes flying across. Watch the turn by Escobar, comes out of the way of the runner, airmails it to first base, and gets Flowers. That's a pretty play.
Micah Johnson will hit. And he lines one to Dozier, and it turns out to be a quick inning. Well, the ball rolled out of his glove. There's the throw to first. Technically 4-3 to close out the third inning, and the Twins up 6-0. Gibson, and a good first 3 innings for the Twins lineup. They have knocked out Chris Sale. We'll talk more about that in a second. Join us for Minnesota Twins Military Monday, presented by Fox Sports North. During every Monday home game, active military members or veterans with a valid ID and up to 4 guests can receive half-price tickets in the home plate view seating locations. Tickets are available at the box office on game day only. Visit foxsportsnorth.com. Click on upcoming events for more details. Chris Sale, for the second time this year, has pitched less than 5 1/3 innings in a start. In each case, it was against the Twins. In each case, he went 3 innings. Back on April 30th at Target Field, and now on September 13th here in Chicago. 6 earned runs. And Montas comes in to pitch to Eduardo Escobar. Rolled foul, strike 1. I mean, you look at Chris Sale's ledger on the year and you see a lot of 7 2/3, a couple of 8s, a 9, every once in a while a 6, but only twice has he been knocked out before throwing pitches in the 6th inning, and both times the Twins have done it to him. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2. Escobar takes down and in, a ball. Jervin to deep right field. Thompson back. Escobar clanks one off the fence. And he's got a double. Just missed another home run. He hit his 10th of the year here 2 nights ago. And this is a ringing double off the top of the fence and right.
Just another extra base hit for Eduardo Escobar. Got a pitch, a little breaking ball down in the middle of the strike zone. This is right in his wheelhouse. Little breaking ball, stays down and in the middle. And he just reacts to those pitches. That's just absolutely whomping zone for Eduardo Escobar. Just missing a home run.
And now here is Aaron Hicks from the left side of the box. Got an infield hit to start the 4-run first, and hit a fly ball to center to end the second. You're right, you pointed that out last night. His hand pump with the bat is smaller than it was a month or so ago.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And I don't know if that means he's feeling more comfortable now that his left-handed stroke is confident without having a reminder there.
Popped up behind third. Long run for Shuck. But he gets there. 1 away, and Escobar held at second base. Hicks fails to advance the runner. 1 down. That'll bring up Dozier. You'd like to think that it won't matter, but you still want to put the foot on the gas here, right? You got a lead-off double. You want to get that guy around to score.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dick. I really do. Even though it's 6-0, and even in here in the top of the 4th, and even though I know manager Paul Molitor is not just an all-out every time. You must get the runner over from second to third. Somebody hits a double. His mantra a lot of times is trade places with him. Hit your own double. But at this particular point in the ball game, with Dozier and Mauer and Sano coming up, get one more run here. You get that guy over to third and get the run in and make it 7, and I think then you're really on cruise control. I think the 7th run's a big run.
Whoa, no.
Foul away. 2 strikes to Dozier. Dozier struck out in the first, hit a warning track fly ball to left in the third. Landed 5 feet in front of the plate. 1-2. Stopped raining in Cleveland. They're going to play a doubleheader there today. Justin Verlander pitching the first game for the Tigers, and then obviously the nightcap, and then the Tigers, after playing 2 games, will come to Minnesota, open up the homestand for the Twins tomorrow night. Still 1 game to be made up, and it may not be made up at all. Popped up near the Chicago dugout. Flowers didn't make the play. It looked like he got there, kind of lunged for it at the end, but not been a good afternoon for Tyler Flowers. Had a ball nearly called a strike that sailed right by him, and he just never got underneath this thing. That should have been caught.
Yeah, you know, manager just expects a pop fly stays in the ballpark inside the first and third base bags. That ball's going to be caught in the major leagues by somebody. Somebody's going to catch it.
Dozier gets another swing. That gets past the pitcher. Nice stop. They throw to third, and look who's standing right on the bag. Escobar, I'm sure told by Gene Glenn to get on the bag and stay there. Dozier will get an infield hit. First and third, 1 away.
Yeah, Gene Glenn yelling at Escobar and pointing at the third base bag to stay right there. I'm sure, being a middle infielder, Escobar knew exactly what that meant. Plenty of times when you're in the middle of the infield, you get a ground ball, but you know you have no chance to get the guy at first. You'll see Johnson looking at third all the way, just hoping that Escobar will round third a little bit and they can pick him off. But Gene Glenn right on top of that.
Mauer 0 for 2. A bouncer to second and a strikeout. Ball 1. We're underway in Texas. Oakland and Texas just underway. With the Rangers a game ahead of the Twins. There's a strike. You and Tim Laudner, Jack Morris have always all year long poo-pooed the notion of scoreboard watching and all that, but this time of the year even the players would notice that the Twins are leading 6-0 here, wouldn't they, if you're down in Texas?
Oh yeah, you look up at it. I mean, you can't help but see it. I don't think anybody makes a special point to watch the scoreboard inning by inning.
Fans do.
I mean, players.
Yeah.
But you know the situation. But it doesn't matter if the team is ahead or behind. You know, the teams that are close to you and that you're chasing or trying to stay ahead of you got to win. Regardless of what they do, you got to win. So I think it's pretty easy to get focused on that.
1-2 to Maui. And now 2-2. Blocked by Flowers.
It would make you crazy as a player after all of these games, trying to keep an even keel and trying to forget yesterday's game, win or lose, and come out and focus on this one. It would make you absolutely crazy if then down the stretch you're looking up at the scoreboard and say, oh my gosh, Texas won, we have to win today. We can't afford to look at the standings tomorrow and be one more game back. I mean, it would drive you crazy. You just have to say, look, we've got X amount of games left and we've got to win a bunch of them.
2-2 to Mauer. Outside. Well, I know that
as fans are going to do that.
Right.
I hear you, but as a player, it would make you too crazy. You can't do that.
I know this. To my dying day, I will remember the players as much as the fans in the Metrodome dugout watching the baseball game that was on the big board at the Metrodome with the Twins season having been completed, watching the Royals beat the Tigers, which meant that the Twins were not going to New York as a wild card team, but instead were American League Central champions. I know Paul Molitor, I think, wants to confirm the count. The scoreboard has 3-2. And Paul is not arguing balls and strikes, but how many of them there are. And there seems to be some confusion here in the umpiring crew.
Well, ask Joe, because Joe will know.
Remember, whether it's accurate or not, we're going to move forward with the count 3-2 here. The first pitch was called a ball. The second pitch was called a strike. So I think this is where we should be. First and third, one down. Twins looking for some more.
Yeah, Paul wants to know if it's 3-2, Dodgers run.
And there he goes. And it's ball 4. So Montas having a tough time here in the 4th inning. And that'll bring Sano to the plate with the bases loaded.
Well, back to your point about that game, that's totally different. Of course you're going to watch that game because it's one game that determines a part of your fate, but there's no game that's going to determine a part of any team's fate today or tomorrow or the next day. And it will at some point in time, but until then it will make you crazy if you watch it and worry about it.
4 runs in the first, 2 in the third, and a chance for more here in the 4th against a different pitcher. Up and away, ball 1. And Sano's passed so many tests when it comes to plate discipline this year. This is another one. 6-0 lead, bases loaded, and a chance to do some damage, but he wants to wait for a strike. Pop that one up a mile in the air and backing out of play. He got one and he just missed it.
Yep, he did get one right in the center of the zone.
If the Twins get to the playoffs, there will be certain moments that will stand out during the regular season, and I'm not sure any of them will be as big as Sano's pinch hit home run in Kansas City. Grounded. Nice pickup by Olt. He'll step on the bag, fire across, and that'll end the inning. Sano hit the ball hard. Olt with a nice play, and the Twins come up empty in the 4th. Wins in a row against the White Sox. You can establish 2015 postseason priority by placing a deposit for 2016 season tickets. Don't miss an inning of postseason play and experience exclusive sweet spot benefits such as 10% off food and beverage at Target Field. For more info or to place a deposit, call 612-375-7454 or visit twinsbaseball.com/season tickets today. White Sox batting. Adam Eaton leading off the 4th. Strike 1. Gibson's given up a hit, but he got an almost immediate double play grounder to take care of Olt after his leadoff single in the 3rd. So 9 up, 9 down.
Like to call in the first pitch a changeup. Kurt Suzuki started Eaton with a changeup, a pitch he has not seen today. Looking fastball in the first pitch, starting with a change. Now you're in control of the count, but not. Oh,
High strike call.
High strike. Yep. Doesn't want to pitch up there, but he'll take it since Adam Eaton took it.
It's hit to center. Hicks over, back a little bit. Gathers it in, one away. Twins hoping to extend what has been a dominant season series for them against the White Sox. Twins are 12-6 against Chicago on the season, having lost 2 of the first 3 games here back in the season's first week. Also hoping to go to 7-5 in the month of September. Here is Saladino. Hit a ground ball to Plouffe his first time up, and there's ball 1. Talked about this last night when we got our first look at this year's schedule about a year ago. You tend to look at road trips, at least I do, in the perspective of the team. You know, where are they going? How tough is it going to be? Day games after night games, things like that. In terms of trying to figure out which road trips are really going to be the toughest. The ball looped to right. Land in front of Hunter for a base hit. Not hit well at all. A 1-out single for Saladino. And I think it was easy to conclude, if you study these things and imagine these things, that these last 2 road trips were going to be the 2 toughest road trips of the year for the Twins because of where they were and the duration of the trips. Back-to-back 3-city road trips totaling 19 games, and now the Twins are on the verge perhaps of going 11-8 during those 2 road trips.
And when the trips started, 5 of the 6 teams that they were going to play were contending at the time. And so they went in, especially the one, you know, the first one, Yankees contending.
Yeah.
Baltimore absolutely about to break out. They had been playing really, really well until the Twins went in there and swept them. And Tampa Bay was contending for the wild card in the East as well. And then this road trip, 2 first-place teams before they finally get to Chicago and play a team that has a losing record. So yes, all the things you mentioned, I think absolutely true. You look at it and say, "Wow, if they can just get through those 2."
1-1, and of course now, conversely, the Twins have 3 weeks left in the regular season, and 2/3 of the schedule is at home. Twins are home for 10 games. Go on the road for 7 and come back for 3. So 13 of the final 20 are at Target Field. Pounded foul, 1 and 2. Next year's schedule, by the way, doesn't have any of these for the Twins. There are no 3-city, week-and-a-half long road trips.
Well, that's a break.
You can see the Twins have definitely caught a second wind on the road here. 1-2 to Abreu with Saladino at first and 1 down. 2-2. Gibson's pitch count pretty good, just 46. He's gotten 10 outs. Plouffe, a big hero here a couple days ago. A couple of home runs and 3 run-producing hits. High fly to left. And Rosario with the catch, 2 down. Gibson getting some outs through the air here in the 4th inning. And that'll bring up LaRoche. LaRoche hit a ground ball up the middle, but the Twins, in shifting him, had him played perfectly and threw him out to lead off the 2nd inning. LaRoche having such a profoundly disappointing year here in Chicago. White Sox were counting heavily on him from the left side of the plate, offering some protection for Abreu. Finally got rid of Adam Dunn and his contract. That was burdensome for them towards the end, if not throughout. And now LaRoche, superior defensive player at first base to Dunn, but Offensively, the numbers very similar to what Adam Dunn was putting up. Ball one, now ball two.
Yeah, surprising year for Adam LaRoche. He's been a pretty consistent home run hitter, 25 at least, during the course of many seasons. He has really struggled this year.
Now Gibson falls behind him 3-0 with Trace Thompson on deck.
This is the one thing that Kyle Gibson is going to have to find to be a real frontline pitcher. He certainly got the stuff, but he just loses command of the fastball periodically, just like this, out of nowhere. 4 straight balls with a fastball. It's kind of inexplicable, and when he gets to the point where he is just pounding the low strike zone with his fastball, then he's going to win 15 to 18 games.
Trying to win his 10th here today, and he needs to avoid situations like this with a 6-run lead, with the White Sox putting 2 men aboard, one with a hit, one with a walk, and now Trace Thompson, who's made very strong, positive impression here in Chicago and in the Twins clubhouse as well. This guy's going to be a good player, and he takes strike one.
He sure looks like he's going to be a good player. It doesn't look like so far. Of course, he's hot as can be with the bat in his hand, but so you're not going to see a lot of weakness, but it sure doesn't seem like. You don't look at him. I don't look at his hitting mechanics and say, well, there's clearly a problem in this area or that area.
Now 0-2, what we saw last night, having just seen him on a limited basis, but he looks like an athlete. He looks like an outfielder that would fit into the Twins mold as they go forward. Guys like Hicks and Buxton and Rosario, guys, Hunter in his prime certainly, they can cover a lot of ground. 2 strikes to Thompson. Checked his swing. He did. 1-2.
Real good try there. 0-2 by Kyle Gibson and Kurt Suzuki. Get him 0-2 and throw that slider out of the lower outside corner. Try to get him to chase. He did, in fact, hold up.
5 strikes brought to you by Dodge. 1-2 to Thompson. Grounder to short. Escobar goes the short way. That ends the inning, ends the threat. White Sox leave 2 aboard, and it's still 6-0.
And we're going to the top of the 5th inning. It's 6-0 Twins. Twins fans, don't forget at Twins home games, bring your Circle Me signs. And if you get circled, you may find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery Winner's Circle, where you could win $100 worth of scratch-off tickets.
Twins trying to go 5-4 on this road trip, and within the road trip, maybe something that bodes well for the Twins moving forward for the next 3 weeks. Particularly here, I guess, in Chicago, but I think it started in Kansas City. The resurgence of some veteran hitters. Torrey Hunter and Trevor Plouffe both struggling at the start of this road trip. Now at the end of the road trip, they're swinging it pretty good. Swing and a miss. 2 strikes. Plouffe today, 2 singles and 2 runs scored.
Really, really hard to imagine the Twins making a serious run down the stretch without Plouffe and Hunter swinging the bats well.
Suzuki started it a few weeks ago. He's been swinging pretty good as of late. As excited as we all are about Sano and Rosario. Dozier, the Twins hope, will be the next to fall in line. The veterans are going to have to get it done in the final 3 weeks, one would think, if it's going to get done at all. There's a called third strike. Plouffe down on strikes, 1 away. 2 great at bats for Torrey Hunter already in the game.
Well, you look on the left, there's his first at bat. He was fouled off a bunch of 2-strike pitches and then gets a fastball in the middle of the plate. Doesn't try to do too much. Pretty short to the ball. And then you see a little bit more extension the second time up. 0-2 again. Fouled off pitches. Got a changeup out over the plate and just extended his arms and flipped it into right center. 2 totally different kind of swings there from Torrey in 2 different situations, but one very similar situation. A great battle with 2 strikes until he was able to put those 2 swings on the pitches.
1 strike here. No ball. You know, our viewers know. I don't know anything about hitting, but I hear hitters talk about the importance of getting that foot down early. And I think in each case we saw Torrey do that. Now, I don't know if that's because of the count. Here's a ball lifted to center. Retreating is Eaton. Whether he was shortening his stride because he had 2 strikes, but he got that front foot down early and had a productive at bat.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think he was doing it because there was 2 strikes, but as importantly because it was Chris Sale out there with the caliber of stuff that he has. You just can't have an awful lot of body movement when he's throwing 97 and got a good slider and a changeup. You can't be moving around too much. You just will throw yourself off. And what hitters mean by getting the foot down early, a lot of guys, you have to stride. You pick the foot up a little bit to get yourself ready to hit. Some guys pick it up more than others, and the more you kind of kick your front leg up, the more important it is to get it down in time, and that's your whole timing mechanism. And I know Trevor Plouffe was really working on that earlier. Speaking of Trevor not swinging it the bat particularly well when this road trip started, he felt like he wasn't getting his foot down.
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2.
And what that means is he was stepping and swinging all at the same time. And for a hitter, there needs to be a little bit of separation. Your foot lands on the ball of your foot, and then as you start to swing, you drive against your heel.
Rosario bounces it foul. Well, in the years I've covered the Twins, we had both extremes, I think, in that regard. Paul Molitor's stride, at least by the time he came to the Twins, was almost imperceptible. You had to look real closely to even see it. And then, of course, Kirby Puckett had the exaggerated leg kick, which he used to generate power. Rosario strikes out. That takes care of the Twins in the 5th as they go down 1-2-3. Presented by CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By NorthlandFord.com and your local Northland Ford dealer. And by Grand Casino. The best stories start here. A beautiful September afternoon here in Chicago, and the scoreboard looks pretty good too if you're a Twins fan. 6-0. Twins knocking out Chris Sale, the only team to do that this year in less than 5 innings pitched. And the Twins have done it to him twice. And now J.B. Shuck will lead off the 5th against Kyle Gibson, who has given up 2 hits and a walk. Trying to even his record at 10-10 on the year. Missing inside, ball 1.
That's the fastball that Kyle Gibson wants right there. Even though it was a ball, that was good sink down in the strike zone. Just missed inside, but good action on that pitch.
2-0. Gibson just trying to avoid situations such as the one that evolved in the 4th when the White Sox got a single and a walk, and they had a dangerous hitter up there with a chance to cut the lead in half. Gibson got Thompson to bounce out. And now it's 2-1 to Shuck. Bounce to the right side. Easy play for Dozier. 1 down. And before Holt comes to the plate, the Twins opening up a series with the Tigers tomorrow night at Target Field. Tuesday features the U.S. Bank Value Pack. You can purchase a U.S. Bank Home Run Porch View ticket and receive a free Schweigert hot dog and Pepsi. Wednesday is Student Day, presented by Rasmussen College. Standing room tickets, just $5 for students. And that includes a free ride on Metro Transit. Call 800-33-TWINS. Visit twinsbaseball.com and get your tickets. Here's Holt, strike 1. Holt's had a good series, his 3rd straight start at third base. And he sent a ball down the left field line. It looked like a double when it left home plate. But Rosario got to the ball so quickly. Instead of a leadoff double, it was a leadoff single. What did it matter, you say? Well, 2 pitches later, Tyler Flowers hit a ground ball to second. The Twins got a double play, and that pretty much was the end of the inning. 2 strikes to Holt. 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's such a good point that you make, Dick. Little things add up to winning baseball games, and that sequence of plays by Rosario and then the nice double play turned by the infield. And one of the things that the Twins have really cleaned up this year, I think.
Strikes out, 2 down.
Good much better outfield defense. The infield's been very steady. And little thing, that's what those kinds of sequences of plays happen when you're playing in a sharp fashion.
Flowers will bat. Well, Paul Molitor said, granted Byron Buxton has really struggled against Chris Sale, 0 for 7, 6 strikeouts, but there still was a temptation to put him out in the outfield because of that. Swing and a miss. And the Twins, we've seen Rosario with the strong, accurate arm, but the aggression that he plays the outfield with. Incredible coverage in center field by both Hicks and Buxton.
You can run either one of those guys out there and feel really good about how center field defense is going to be covered. There's no question about that. I like Aaron Hicks in center field an awful lot. But when you put Buxton in center and Hicks in right, with the way Rosario has come on as an outfielder in left field, that's a really good outfield defense. And that's what Paul was saying. He's looking at that outfield defense as a manager. You want to have that kind of defense, and then he looks at Buxton struggling a little bit against Sale. They really want to win this game. Torres hit the ball well against Sale going into the game. Of course, star of the game offensively so far. So Paul made a pretty good decision there.
Gibson with a 1-2-3 5th, including a couple of strikeouts.
fans of the game. Plenty of Twins fans here today. Maybe just as many as White Sox fans in town, but they're enjoying watching the Twins with a big lead over the White Sox. Also, Kurt Suzuki stepping up to start this inning, and he has started every game this series, which is pretty unusual for Kurt. Pretty unusual for most catchers to start a day game after a night game. And so I asked Paul Molitor about the decision to continue to ride with Kurt, and he said, well, it's go time right now. There are 20 games after today left on the regular season schedule, and Molitor says he doesn't expect him to start every single one of those 20 games, but most of them, as much as Kurt is able to. And Kurt Suzuki told Molitor in spring training that he wants to play more than he did even last year. They rely on his veteran presence behind the plate. He's done some pretty good things at the plate of late, and so here he is, day game after a night game, back in the lineup.
Well, thank you, Jamie. The schedule plays out this way. The Twins head home after the game today. They have one off day left. It's a week from tomorrow in the midst of the homestand. Suzuki will lead things off. Escobar and Hicks to follow here in the 6th. Up and in, ball 1. And that is what was so frightening, I won't say terrifying, but frightening about seeing Suzuki help from the field Wednesday night after his collision. He was left defenseless at the plate and got the out. We tend to forget that that was a heck of a play by Suzuki to get Dyson at the plate. Then the Twins won it in the next inning. And to see him come back and after the off day Thursday, I joked with you. I said I saw him walking around the ball on Thursday. He's walking better than I was, which isn't saying much.
Yeah,
I know.
and I won't say what I said to you. No, you're right. And the terrific play that he made was all about just catching the ball, just because he was led into the runner by the pitcher's throw, and he leaped over to get the throw at the same time the runner was crashing into him. Had he not had to go that direction, there never would have been that contact at the plate. And the point that you're making is really true. He is so tough, and he gets banged up and never seems to have it affect him, and he's always playing. And to see him helped off the field, you and I both felt, and I think Twins fans that were watching the game had to feel like he must be really hurt seriously. Then we saw him walking on the plane. We left, and he told me, he said, I really feel pretty good. He said, I was scared what it might have been, but I really feel pretty good.
3-2, Suzuki. Now he takes ball 4, and he'll get to first. Here's what happened Wednesday night in advance of Sano ending the game with a home run. Wednesday, the Royals, Twins had a 5-man infield. Boyer spun and fired and just left Suzuki very vulnerable.
Really vulnerable, and he got a little hyperextension of the knee. Dyson hit him right square in the kneecap, and you see him here being helped off, and that's just not Kurt Suzuki's style. I don't think I've ever seen him get any kind of attention at all when he's been hurt, and that's what was so frightening about that.
Escobar up, doubled off the fence and right his last time up. Case in point, you'll see Suzuki take a foul ball, and the ball deflects out of play, and the umpire wants to run a ball out to the mound, and then Suzuki more often than not will ask for the ball and take it out to the mound himself,
or throw it out there like he's mad that he got hit on his throwing arm. Yep. And that collision, I started to say, he got hit square in the kneecap, which is where the bruise happened, but he also got a bit of a hyperextension, and that could have been really, really serious, and the knee held up pretty well. Didn't get past the point of safety there in the hyperextension, so lucky all the way around.
2 strikes to Escobar. And another base hit, his second, and rounding second going to third is Suzuki.
Where was that pitch? I'm just curious. Where was that pitch?
4 inches off the ground.
It was a low fastball, I think.
And Escobar went down and got it.
Well, that's what you like to see. Flowers wants it up, and he misses by about 1.5 feet down into where Escobar is good, and he just doesn't miss those too much. You see up in the zone, he just doesn't have much of a chance at all. But you get the ball from just below belt height to lower, and he's going to have a pretty good hack at it.
Now that's from the left side of the plate. Here's Hicks. Big swing and a miss. Hicks with an infield hit, a run scored in the first. And then a fly out to center. And another fly out to left. Taking low, 1-1.
You're talking about how they were trying to pitch Escobar there. It's not that people don't know that Escobar is a good low ball hitter, especially middle to middle in down there in the zone. You can see Flowers trying to get his pitcher to throw a high fastball. The good news is you just can't throw it where you want to all the time. And if the hitter is disciplined, he can get balls to hit. It will be in his strength.
Inside here to hit him 2-1. And if anybody should know, the White Sox should know about Escobar since he played through their minor league system and got to the big leagues with them.
I'm willing to bet you that there's nobody in the White Sox organization that thought that Eduardo Escobar would be the extra base hit machine that he's been the last 2 years. Or they would not let him go.
For what turned out to be a 2-month rental.
Right.
In front of the off-speed pitch, and it's 2-2. Twins have 2 players with 20 home runs, Dozier and Plouffe. And then with 10 or more, you've got Hicks, Sano, Hunter, Rosario should get there, Escobar. Two and rolled foul. Home runs. Let's hope he gets to double figures. 2-2. And now a full count with Dozier on deck. Montas ran into trouble, gave up a leadoff double in the 4th. Filled the bases, but got out of it when Sano grounded into a double play. 1-2-3 fifth. Now early trouble here in the 6th. And ball 4, they're loaded up. Activity in the Chicago bullpen, and we'll see how long Robin Ventura lets it ride with Montas. Jake Petrichka warming up Don Cooper to the mound. Seen a lot of Don Cooper in this season series.
And Donnie Cooper doesn't want this much TV time.
No. And a quick word with Montas.
Usually those kinds of trips, especially with a young guy like that, especially in this situation, a pitching coach will go out there and just to give him some time, give him a chance to breathe a little bit. But the message is usually, look, you have to trust your stuff. You can't be nibbling around, walking guys. You have to go out. You have to trust your stuff. That's what got you here. Throw the ball in the low strike zone and just trust it. Trust the movement. Trust the stuff.
Dozier fouls the first pitch back, 1 strike. Montas left on upward. Dozier likes it.
Yeah, that was not the message from Don Cooper. Let's see if this guy can hit a high fastball. Right? That was definitely not the message.
Six 0, and the Twins hoping to bust it wide open here. Bases loaded, nobody out. And another one fouled back. 1 fastball up, 1 down. Dozier peeling them both back over the screen. 0-2. Twins had the bases loaded, 1 out in the 5th, and Sano hit a smash. Backhanded nicely by Olt at 3rd, and he turned it into an inning-ending double play. One and 2. Talk about the Twins' success against Chicago. They've struggled against everybody in the division except the Indians. They have a winning record against Cleveland at 9-7. Twins have a winning record against Cleveland and Chicago. Down 3 to Detroit, down 2 to Kansas City. Dozier strikes out. 1 down. That'll bring up Mauer.
Pretty good slider here with 2 strikes. Brian way out in front of it. And I think Brian's at the point now where you see him lean into left field a little bit. Cause him to be out in front of it. He's so good at hitting the ball hard to his pull field. It's hard for him to give in and say, okay, I'm not quite sharp. I need to hit the ball up the middle the other way a little bit to get myself back on the ball. It's very, very difficult for Brian to do that because he just believes there's going to be that. He might miss that one pitch that's going to go in the seats.
Strike called. We're in the 6th inning, and this lead not insurmountable by any means. Twins need to get something out of this.
No, I'd like to see another number of some kind, any kind. This is a big run right here for Joe. For Brian and for Joe.
1 strike. Now 2 strikes. Joe 0 for 2 with a walk. Called out on strikes in the 3rd. That was back when Chris Sale was still in the game. Montas trying to follow Sale's 3-inning outing with a more effective 3-inning outing of his own.
The Twins had him on the ropes right away in the 4th inning.
1-2.
Now again here in the 6th. I think really like to see them put up a number here. This probably be just about all it would take.
Well, talk about Hunter and Plouffe picking it up on this road trip. The Twins will need Mauer and Dozier to pick it up. Start driving in some runs on a regular basis again. That'll help.
Yeah,
base hit to left.
Yeah,
Suzuki will score. Everybody moves up a base, and Mauer has an RBI single. And they're loaded up again for Sano.
Nice at bat by Joe. Important at bat, important RBI right there. Just serves a little breaking ball strike. Not going to get Joe out on breaking ball strikes with 2 strikes on him very often. He just waits a long time, just sees that breaking ball, sees the slower speed.
Sano's hit the ball hard 3 times today, twice for singles, once into a double play. Hasn't elevated a ball yet.
He might hear.
Speed pitch, an inside corner call, 1 strike.
Sometimes Fox Tracks will show us pitches that turn out to be strikes. According to Fox Tracks, that just to a baseball player, they just don't look like strikes. It's just nothing about them looks like a strike.
Inside.
The first pitch, that kind of hanging back up breaking ball was 1-0. If he throws that one down just a little bit, it might get launched. You see it catches that upper inside corner, but it just doesn't. That pitch just doesn't look like a strike to anybody on the field except the umpire.
It's on the right field line. Foul ball into the seats. 1-2. Sano drove in the first run of the game with a 2-out single in the first against Chris Sale. By innings end, Hunter hit a 3-run home run. The Twins were on their way to a now 7-0 lead. Missed inside with a 98-mile-per-hour fastball.
Best fastball we've seen from Montas here.
Blue. Bloof with a couple of hits and a strikeout. He was called out on strikes facing Montas in the 5th. Texas leading Oakland 1-0, top of the 4th inning in Arlington. Angels leading Houston 1-0 in the 2nd in Anaheim. Strike one.
Trevor's frustrated. He got called out on a pitch that looked like it broke off the outside corner last time up there. High strike. I think Fox Strikes will probably show that right at the upper perimeter of the strike zone box.
Miss 0-2. Again at 98.
Yeah, it was high. The first pitch called a strike. High slider like that. I'm just telling you, those just never look like strikes. Breaking balls aren't supposed to be up there. They just don't look like strikes.
Booth got a piece of the breaking ball. Yankees beat Toronto 5-0 in the series finale. Toronto winning 3 out of 4.
Well pitched game by Tanaka. He stepped up there. First of all, ace, I think, and pitched a really good ball.
And Bluth strikes out. The Twins get one but leave 3 in the 6th.
Start off right where they start again, where they left off the last 3 times. Sano with an RBI single. Torrey Hunter with a huge 3-run home run would put him up 4-0 in the 1st inning, and then Torrey again in the 3rd with a great at bat, and then another run-scoring single followed by one from Eddie Rosario. The Twins would take a 6-0 lead. And this is what the Twins have done against, or what Chris Sale has done against the rest of the league, and then the Twins. The rest of the league is saying, it ain't that easy, guys. What in the world?
An opponent batting average .210, but against the Twins .319. 1-1 to Micah Johnson, leading off the Chicago 6th.
Well, the Twins have raised his ERA almost a full point. I mean, he would be in the Cy Young Award consideration were it not for what the Twins have done to him.
1-2. Meanwhile, Gibson with 5 shutout innings on the heels of finishing his game in Kansas City with 7 shutout innings. So 12 straight shutout innings for Kyle Gibson.
Well, Kyle Gibson has gotten 15 outs. 11 of them have been via ground ball or strikeout. Now I'm counting a double play ball as 2 outs on 1 ground ball.
And that's off the glove of Plouffe, and crossing the foul line, Johnson will round first and go to second. Left-handed batter hit one to the backhand side of the third baseman. And the White Sox have their 3rd hit, a leadoff double here in the 6th.
Yeah, I think it caught Trevor a little bit by surprise. Johnson slicing the ball that way, and then he got a little bit of an in-between hop too. You see him slash it that way, and not just didn't come up with it.
Now Adam Eaton.
Don't want to be up there. You want to get it back down the strike zone. What I started to say is that 11 of the 15 outs that Kyle Gibson has gotten so far have come via the ground ball or the strikeout. He's got 3 strikeouts and 8 outs on ground balls, and that's a little bit better than 2/3. That's what you want. You don't want it up there. You find a way to get back down the strike zone. But if you look at a Kyle Gibson start and say that he's going to go 7 or 8 innings and 2/3 of the outs are going to come via ground ball or strikeout, I think you'd be very happy with that prospect.
1-1. Gibson has given up 3 hits and a walk, but in the few occasions where the White Sox have had a base runner, Gibson's come back and gotten the next batter. Only in the 4th did they put 2 runners on, and there was an out between the single and the walk. 2-1 to Eaton. That's a 2-hopper to Mauer. On the way to 3rd is Johnson. Eaton retired.
And once again today, as in the last 7 innings that Kyle pitched in Kansas City, his last start, he's made very, very effective use of his changeup. There's a nice changeup to Eaton right there. A couple of high fastballs that he got away with, and then getting the hitter's count, throw a nice changeup and get an easy out there.
Saladino singled his last time up, got as far as second base. Twins will play the infield back, of course, with a 7-run lead. Saladino fouls, 1 strike. Oh, 0-1 to Saladino. On the ground, Plouffe is going to come home. And Johnson safe. He slipped around the tag by Suzuki, and Suzuki immediately looks into the Twins dugout. Home plate umpire Marty Foster explaining to Suzuki, who remains convinced that he got the tag on the runner Micah Johnson, and they're going to take a look at it. There's a sliding lane necessary. Well, he never touched home plate. Other than that, he's safe. The right hand goes away from the plate. The left hand still hasn't touched the plate. Well, we are of the belief that Johnson will be called out here.
The first one we saw, I thought, was a really good look. I think the umpire Marty Foster thought that the right hand got to the plate. That's what all I can figure. You look at his right hand right here, and Foster behind. The only thing I can figure is that
right there he's tagged on the thigh.
That maybe. Well, he either thought that Kurt missed him or that the right hand hit the plate earlier. That's the only way you can make that call that he did.
Well, this call should be overturned. Home plate umpire to your right, Mike Winters, the crew chief. First base umpire in this case is the umpire on the left. Again, there has to be convincing evidence. We believe there was. And out is the call. Well, 7-run lead. Plouffe, rather than taking the sure out across the diamond, decided to come home. And they did get the lead runner. Saladino reaches on a fielder's choice. 2 down. And that significant maybe for Gibson, who's got a nice scoreless inning streak going here, and a shutout 2/3 of the way through the 6th inning.
Yeah, and I don't mind that play at all. He was going to be out by so much. You know, if Trevor just makes a normal throw to the plate, just like he'd make a normal throw to first, the guy's going to be out at the plate as he was. Even with a 7-run lead, you're going to throw a guy out by 6-7 feet. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Here's Abreu with a runner at first and 2 down. Ball 1. Cleveland leading Detroit 6-2. The Indians hope to get back to the 500 mark, and in the process, perhaps hand Justin Verlander a loss. Verlander was supposed to start Friday. The game was rained out. Supposed to start Saturday. That game was rained out. All that really matters is he's pitching, or has pitched, today and won't face the Twins at Target Field. And after facing Chris Sale 6 times, Twins could use a break like that. 1-1. Chopper to third. This time Plouffe will throw across the diamond. And another scoreless inning for Gibson. He's pitched 13 shutout innings in a row on this road trip. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. See where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by McDonald's. With $1.69 iced coffees and 69-cent vanilla cones, you can get totes, treats, excited all summer long at McDonald's. 7-0. The Twins knocking out Chris Sale after 3 innings again today. And a reminder that you can follow live Twins baseball every day with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected to the Twins all season with MLB.tv Game of the Day. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. Browse the app's new features, including StatCast tracking videos and bilingual access for Spanish-speaking fans. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Technology great. I mean, now we've got bilingual satellite television for, now in Minnesota. Eventually there'll be Norwegian and Swedish broadcasts. Jake Petrichka might return home to Minnesota in the offseason here in a few weeks. And he'll come on to pitch to the Twins in the 7th. And a first pitch strike to the man of the day, Torrey Hunter, who had 2 great at-bats against Chris Sale, drove in 4 runs, but his 3-run home run after falling behind Sale 0-2 set the tone for this game that remains unchanged.
No question about it. One of the best at-bats you'll ever see.
1-1. 2-1. Petrichka grew up a Twins fan, and so this is not an insignificant matchup. Petrichka, ball hit hard but foul, following the Twins at a time when Torre and Jock, A.J. Pierzynski, Eddie Guardado, guys like that were starting to reconnect with the Twins fan base. But now here, Torrey Hunter still playing at the age of 40. Petrichka's pitching to him. 2-2. And weird swing, but a ground ball to second. Hunter swinging it one down and in and heading it up the middle, but Micah Johnson was there to make the play. One down. Mike Holt's come over to play first base. Saladino has moved to third. And Lurie Garcia at short. Petrichka pitching. And that'll bring up Eddie Rosario. Drive to the right field corner. Third knock for Rosario. This one will go for extra bases. He's got a double and will hold up there. This is the type of game we saw Rosario get when his average had dropped to the low 270s, and now he gets a 3-hit game with the average in the low 260s.
I was just going to say, not to be overlooked, the importance of Eddie Rosario starting to get his timing, swing, and confidence back. He's really not been swinging the bat well at all, but today, much more Rosario-like.
So Rosario at second with one down, and now Suzuki, who walked and scored his last time up.
He's going to have an awful lot of opportunities to drive in big runs down the stretch here in the next 3 weeks, Eddie Rosario. As will this guy, Kurt Suzuki. Good to see him. I was just going to mention this average of runners in scoring position, 283. Even though the season not gone the way he wanted to, for the most part, he's tough with guys in scoring position.
Short right center, and streaking in is Thompson to make the catch. 2 down. We'll bring up Escobar. Escobar with 2 more hits again today. Ball 1. Texas leading Oakland 3-0 in the fourth. Again, the Rangers leading the Twins by a game in the wild card standings. They're done playing each other, so the Twins have no more head-to-head competition with the team they're chasing. Foul back, 2 strikes, or excuse me, 1-1. Angels leading Houston 2-0. Carlos Gomez had to leave the game for Houston with a strained intercostal.
No.
If you've ever strained your intercostal, you know how painful that can be.
That's very painful. I can't imagine that he would have swung hard enough to hurt a ribcage muscle.
Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Really? Go-go?
Here are the scores of importance to Twins fans. The Yankees in the first wild card chair, beating Toronto 5-0. Cleveland now 7-2 over the Tigers. Verlander's out of the game. Texas leading, Angels leading. So it might be that the Twins don't gain any ground on the team above them and the team beneath them in the standings, but
well, they're going to gain ground. Both the Twins and the Rangers are going to gain ground on Houston, it looks like, potentially. And I'm still not convinced that Houston's not a bona fide wild card challenger to the Twins. They may not win that division.
Back to our left and into the Chicago radio booth. Ed Farmer had it hit right at him. We've had 2 very disappointing plays made by radio broadcasters on this road trip. That was hit right to Ed Farmer. And in Kansas City, Dan Gladden with his glove couldn't catch one.
Well, Ed Farmer not only did not have a glove, but also was a pitcher. So he's got.
Now, what do you mean by that?
He's got a little bit of a more excuse than our man Manning did.
Aaron Jackson played for the Twins briefly, working with Ed Farmer, good fielding outfielder. I'm guessing this might still be the topic of discussion on the Chicago radio broadcast. Chop to the right side. Johnson first, and that ends the Twins' 7th inning. They are leading 7-0, hoping to end this road trip with a 5-4 mark. And from Chicago, we bring you God Bless America.
Fans at Major League ballparks across America each Sunday, the singing of God Bless America is performed in support of our country and our men and women stationed overseas. Please welcome Gerald Chaney for the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Disappointing game last night. They lead it 7-0. They broke it open early. Sanford Health injury report. Wade Davis has had some issues with his shoulder area, listed as day-to-day. And Kelvin Herrera got pounded the other night by the Orioles, and the invincible Kansas City bullpen might not be as invincible as it once was. Orioles with a comfortable 11-game lead in the division. But how much of their handling of players, position players, pitchers, starters, relievers, any or all of it depends on the big margin they have in the division. They have the luxury of taking it easy with some guys. Here's Leury Garcia hitting in what was LaRoche's spot. A ball now at strike. Garcia and then Thompson and then Shuck. 2-1. Gibson finished his start against the Royals after giving up 4 runs on 9 pitches by pitching a complete game, 7 shutout innings. Strike called 2-2, and now 6 shutout innings here this afternoon. That's 13.
It is.
2-2. Full count. Thompson on deck. And fouled away. Garcia just 7 at-bats on the season, used as a defensive replacement, 4 strikeouts. And 5 strikeouts. Gibson clipped the corner, 1 down.
Well, you see how much movement Kyle Gibson can get on his fastball. Starts inside, breaks back over the inside corner. This is a time of the ball game with the score and length of the game and where we are. You need to be swinging anything close with 2 strikes.
Here's Thompson 0 for 2 today, a strikeout and a ground ball, and he takes strike 1.
This is not being at all disparaging of umpires, but it's just going to be the case that not going to squeeze the strike zone any tighter in a game that's gotten to this point.
2 strikes to Thompson. Last game of the year between these 2 teams. Swing and a miss. Thompson on 3 pitches is gone. 2 down. And Gibson with a modest pitch count. 91 pitches. I don't know whether the Twins want to stretch him too far here, but the Twins have not had a 9-inning complete game victory in a couple of years. Look at that downward movement.
Yeah. Really good sink today. Really good sink when he's gotten it down in the strike zone. It's been real good, and the movement on a changeup has been equally good in terms of down.
Inside, ball 1 to Shuck. In yesterday's game, Avisail Garcia left the game because of back spasms. We didn't expect him to be in the lineup, but Shuck took his place. There's a foul ball. And Mauer with a fielding play. Gibson there, but it's a foul ball, says Mike Winters. So 1-1 to the batter. But Garcia not in the lineup, and he's a player that the White Sox will build around. Dare I say rebuild around. This has been a hugely disappointing year for the White Sox. They were expected with the acquisitions, signings. They were expected to be at the top of the division and not near the bottom. 3 games ahead of the Tigers, who appear to be on their way to defeat. Gibson won't get it. Dozier quickly to first. Nice play. A quick exchange and a backhanded flip to Mauer to end the 7th. Gibson's got 7 shutout innings and a 7-0 lead. Good day for Kyle Gibson. A really good road trip for the Twins. They are 6 outs away from finishing a grueling part of the schedule on the road with 2 week-and-a-half-long road trips with an 11-8 mark. A lot of people, a lot of skeptics, I suppose, thought that the road schedule would kill the Twins' chances, and instead it's enhanced their chances.
And ignited them.
Yes.
It seems to me giving them an awful lot of confidence.
Putnam comes in to pitch to the Twins in the 8th. First man he'll face is Aaron Hicks. It would be an 11-8 mark after that stretch of road games could not have gotten off to a more horrific start. The 3 losses in New York.
So 11-5.
From the time they showed up in Baltimore, yeah. 1 strike to Hicks, and now 2. Hicks has singled and walked in 4 trips. One and 2. Check the swing. 2 and 2. Twins head home after the game this afternoon. Open up a series with the Tigers tomorrow night. Short right field, retreating is Johnson, still going out. Nice play by the second baseman, retreating onto the outfield grass. Back to our carsoup.com trivia question. I'll go with Mike Maroth and was it Brian Kingman, the guy who lost 20 for Oakland one year? And you have to go back to Steve Busby with the Royals in '73.
You mentioned Earl Wilson in '65.
I did mention Earl Wilson, didn't I?
Boy, I would not have thought that about Buzz. I would not have thought about him at all. Great pitcher, USC Trojan.
Really?
Yeah. Good guy. Broadcaster in Texas now.
1 strike to Dozier. Dozier with a single in 4 trips, couple of strikeouts, with a warning track fly ball to left. A foul ball between Gene Glenn and the line. It's always a sad time for me. I love coming to Chicago. The games here are always fun. The city itself is great. I know it must be sad for you because this is your last chocolate chip cookie you're going to be eating up here on the booth. There's a drive to left. You've enjoyed those chocolate chip cookies.
I'm going to tell you what, I don't, I really don't eat sugar.
Really?
Yeah, no, I don't. I sort off sugar quite a bit of the, well, let's just say of the unfermented kind. And
okay.
And but they bring me these unbelievable chocolate chip cookies and a cup of coffee every day. I can't believe how hospitable.
And they do that to you,
and they just show up, and I would really be, I think, grateful, rude if I didn't at least act like I really appreciate it.
It's quite convincing.
It looks like I appreciate it, doesn't it? Oh, there's some for you. See, you whine about it, yeah. You tease your partner, and all of a sudden there's stuff that shows up for you too.
1 strike here to Mauer with Dozier aboard and 1 out. Yeah, I wanted to ask you too. During the 7th inning stretch, I don't know who the organist is here, but she does an outstanding job. Used to be Nancy Faust for many years. Would play very apropos music for home players, visiting players. Did she ever play a special song for you as your walk-up song? That was really those were the first walk-up songs that Nancy Faust would play. Good play by Olt, but he pulls it man off the bag, and the return throw to first nowhere near the bag, and now Dozier will go to third, and Flowers has to hustle back to the bag. It looked like a good play. Olt fired to second, but his throw was off target, and Garcia's throw was even worse.
Well, this was just a mess all the way around. Tough play for Holt to be able to get that runner right there, and then I don't know where Garcia was throwing the ball. But
so first and third, Mauer reaching technically on a fielder's choice, but there's an error to Olt on the throw to second, and then an error on Garcia on the return throw, allowing Dozier to go to third. So, like, you know, it's a small world after all. I mean, did she ever?
You know, she might have. I never paid attention to that stuff, and I didn't even know. Someone had to tell me one time, just a year or two ago, Target Field, you know, that's so-and-so's walk-up music, and I said, oh, they play walk-up music for people? I mean, I never, I mean, I just don't, I just was oblivious. So maybe they did play something for me. I don't know.
Sano has come up the last two times with the bases loaded here, first and third, one out. He's got two quick strikes. Check to swing.
I'm guessing if Nancy played something for me, it was something along the lines of The Impossible Dream or something like that.
Well, she would do a nice job playing off a player's name.
Yeah, she did. She was really good. I do remember that. You know, with Robin Yount, Fly, Robin, Fly, and Rockin' Robin, and I do remember that.
No, it could have been like Happy Trails, Roy Rogers' song, just because there was a connection with the first name.
I suppose.
Now, you were oblivious to walk up. Like, now it's a big deal. Players request certain songs.
I know, it's a big deal. I'm not that big a fan of that, but
and Sano strikes out.
It's a big deal.
2 down.
It's kind of like listening to your walk-up music. That's like when someone asked Yogi Berra about it. He had the label down, not up on the bat, and said, Yogi, you're supposed to have the label up. And he goes, well, I'm not up there to read. I'm up there to hit. I wasn't up there to dance to my song.
Plouffe having a good series here. 7 hits, coming up with runners at first and third, 2 down. Lori Moreland is the current organist, and we commend her for the job she does. We have Sue Nelson at Target Field. She does a great job. And call me a traditionalist. Go ahead, call me a traditionalist.
You're such a traditionalist.
I love organ music at the ballpark. Strike on the outside corner, 1-1. Ronnie Newman was the organist for all the years that I remember at Metropolitan Stadium. I don't know whether he had an expanded playlist in his early years, but when he made the transition to the Metrodome, by that time it was pretty much Satin Doll and maybe 1 or 2 others, and that was it.
He played a few more at the old Met. But I do remember the 2 or 3 songs in addition to Satin Doll.
Down and away, 2-2. And it's funny how things like that stay with you, but you know, when I hear Satin Doll, not that I listen to that genre of music much, but whenever that tune is played, the first thing I think of is Ronnie Newman at the organ at a Twins game. 3-2 to Plouffe. Kenny Vargas in the on-deck circle. He'll hope to have a chance here in the 8th inning. Full count, 2 down. And Plouffe pops it up wide at first. Holt with room makes the catch. The Twins leave a couple more on in the 8th. Or for that matter pitches thrown under duress for Kyle Gibson. He's out there to pitch to Mike Holt to start the 8th inning. No activity in the Twins bullpen, and again, it's been a long time since the Twins have had a 9-inning complete game win. Andrew Albers did it a couple years ago. 1 strike to Holt, and he's way out in front. Strike 2. Twins getting some players out of the game. Buxton's now in center. Hicks is in right. Hunter's out. Vargas in at first base. One and two.
When I said after 5 innings that Kyle Gibson had gotten 11 outs via strikeout or ground ball, he proceeded then to get the next 6 outs via ground ball or strikeout. So according to what I've got here, 17 out of 21 outs going into this inning via ground ball or strikeout. And you were talking about how much the ball is moving down. Do you remember? I know you remember. Let's remember Derek Lowe.
Yes.
And that great sinker he had. Kyle Gibson today is giving me the impression that he could be a Derek Lowe type of power sink, just commanding the lower part of the strike zone. And as Holt strikes out on a really nice slider, but if he just keeps throwing that sinker right there, just power sinker and changeup that look an awful lot alike, just changes speed by about 7 or 8 miles an hour. If he's able to continue doing that, and then when he mixes in the slider, very, very effective. I mean, he's just been absolutely dominant today. As the game has gone on, he's thrown more ground balls, and part of that is when a sinker ball pitcher, he gets a little tired, he doesn't overthrow, the ball sinks more. But I notice a different kind of motion, a different kind of delivery. He just seems so free and easy. He's not trying to throw the ball hard. He's throwing it up and letting the ball sink. It looks very much like Derek Lowe action there. We know that 4, 5, 6 years Derek Lowe was one of the top pitchers in the league.
Both as a starter and a closer. He was a closer for a couple of years with the Red Sox. 2-1.
But I just really like the smoothness, the fluidity, the relaxed arm action that Gibson has had today, and as the game has gone on, it's gotten better.
2-1, and a ball popped foul. 2-2. The Twins do have some activity now. Casey Fiend, Neil Cox warming up. Not important for Gibson to pitch a complete game shutout. I can say that with you in the booth. If I said that with Bert Blyleven in the booth, he would grab me by the lapels and throw me out of the booth. Yeah. But I wanted to take the opportunity to say that now, given where we are on September 13th. 2-2 and a pitch chop foul. And
I understand where Bert's coming from, and I don't disagree with him at all. But except that it's a different era, and you've got a young guy here. To your point earlier, and Paul Molitor's point earlier, it's only a second full season. Arm strength probably down a little bit. They need him down the stretch and hopefully into the playoffs.
And through a wide open left side of the infield, at least Plouffe was covering the line. Escobar was nowhere near the ball either. A 1-out single. Fox Sports North is proud to partner with Girls on the Run Twin Cities to empower girls to be healthy, confident. Join us for the Girls on the Run Fall 5K on Saturday, November 14th at Harriet Island Pavilion. To register, visit foxsportsnorth.com and click on upcoming events. Just the 4th hit for the White Sox, never more than 1 in an inning. And Micah Johnson got a leadoff double in the 6th and was thrown out later trying to score on a ground ball to third.
We're talking about the ground balls that he's gotten for outs. 3 of the 4 base hits now have been on the ground. So all in all, they're just exactly the kind of performance that Neil Allen and Paul Molitor would want to see from Kyle Gibson. Not only a shutout into the 8th inning here, but just had White Sox hitters hitting over the top of the ball all day long.
2 strikes to Johnson. And Johnson waves at strike 3, 2 down. Texas leading Oakland 6-0, so it sure looks like the Twins are not going to gain ground on the Rangers. That'll bring up Eaton.
That's a big sink right there. That was a changeup. And the great thing about that changeup is that not only does it look like the sinker coming up there, but it goes down hard like the sinker does. When I say look like it, coming out of his hand looks like a fastball.
Tapper left side. Plouffe fires to first. Safe at first. Eaton beat it out. Plouffe with a glance towards second base. And then a late throw to first base. That's what you like to see if you're Robin Ventura. Eaton busting it down the line, and be the end of the day for Kyle Gibson. You can see Trevor trying to goose it over there, but not in time. And Gibson will leave a couple of inherited runners with 2 down here in the 8th inning. What a job by Gibson. Neil Allen told him after 9 pitches, 11 pitches in Kansas City, that's it. That's all they're going to get. Had no idea that extended through his next start as well.
Took that to heart.
But he handled that like a veteran.
Well, he just pitched absolutely brilliantly today. Just exactly the way the Twins would love to see him pitch every game. Just let that sinker do the work, and threw a lot of ground balls. Only a couple of them sneaked through the infield. Most of them were just absolutely dominating the White Sox hitters.
No matter of pride here for Casey Fiend. He does not want Gibson's 2 inherited runners to score here. Just needs to get an out and keep the White Sox off the scoreboard. A called strike, then a ball, 1-1.
Good pitch there. Casey Fiend throws every cutter or slider right there. He'll be just fine. That's a good pitch.
Saladino the batter. 1 for 3 on the day. 1-2. Gibson trying to equal his season mark at 10-10 to go 4-0 against the White Sox with an ERA in the low 2s. 1-2 to Saladino, and a foul back. It's fun to score runs and all that, but the fact of the matter is the Twins pitchers and some individual pitchers have done very, very well against the White Sox this year, with the exception of the 1 inning last night. Tommy Malone's been good. Trevor May is a starter, 4-0 against the White Sox in his career. Outside, 2-2. And Gibson is undefeated against the White Sox. Two and 2. Back to Fiend. And that ends the inning. The White Sox get a couple of hits, strand 2 runners. It's still 7-0. Going to the 9th inning, and as we promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong Fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to North Data Strong Fan for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. One's coming home. We'll hope those 3 people there and about 40,000 others on a nightly basis, as unrealistic as that might be. Twins certainly have more than held their own on this road trip, and it's going to be a great homestand. Zach Duke comes out of the Chicago pen to pitch to the Twins in the 9th inning. And Byron Buxton will get an at bat here. Torrey Hunter 2 for 4, but man, 2 of the biggest hits on this road trip, a 3-run home run and an RBI single in each case after falling behind 0-2 to Chris Sale. Soto doing the catching. Down and in, 1-1. Twins want to see more consistent contact from Buxton. That's why he was not in the lineup today. 0 for 7 with 6 strikeouts against Sale. There's a chopper. Saladino fires on the run. Buxton retired 1 down. That'll ring up Eddie Rosario. 3 hits for Rosario. Eight to nothing. Texas leading Oakland. 15 hits. Rosario with 3 hits today, 4 in the series. Outside, ball 1. Now 2-0. Right on the outside corner, 2-1. Just another footnote on Twins and their success against Chris Sale. 8 times in 2015 they put together a multi-run inning. 8 times. 7, a couple of 4s, a couple of 3s, 3 2s.
It really is remarkable. When you look at what Sale has done to the rest of the league for the last 3 years or 4 years or whatever it's been, it's remarkable what the Twins have done against him this year. It really is.
3-2 to Rosario. And a foul. And they won't have to face him again this year.
Well, I'll tell you that to a guy line, to a man, I bet if you talk to the Twins hitters, they say, yeah, that was great. Let's not do it anymore.
Facing him 6 times. Yeah. Rosario strikes out. If you are interested in career opportunities in a sports-related field, the Twins will be hosting their 11th annual Sports Internship and Career Fair, September 24th, 12 to 3 at Target Field. That's noon to 3 p.m. Visit with over 20 sports-related organizations throughout the Midwest region. For more details, visit twinsbaseball.com/job opportunities, and to register, call 612-33-TWINS. Space is limited. Remember a few years ago when Mark Burley was in his prime here with the White Sox, there was a year where they had to face Mark Burley 6 times in a season. Burley was one of the guys I spoke about in the open. He'd give you a comfortable 0 for 4, but Sale's one of the guys that'd give you an uncomfortable 0 for 4.
You bet.
And Fryer gets an at bat, and the count 1-2.
Well, the difference between guys like that, let's say Burley and Sale, Burley was like, you're just having a bad day in the batting cage. You couldn't get one out of the cage for whatever reason. And
to the right side. That'll finish off the top of the 9th inning.
Sale is like killing the war.
Twins 3 outs away from finishing the road trip 5-4. Michael Tonkin finishing his warm-up tosses. He'll get the 9th inning. Eric Fryer staying in the game to catch. Tonkin in to hopefully get 3 quick outs. Maybe the story of the road trip, Roy, 5-4, that's good. But how the Twins within this road trip responded to some disappointing losses. That last game in Houston, the Twins had a lead late. Trevor May had the one really disappointing outing he's had since the transition to the bullpen. And the Astros kind of stole the final game of that series in the 8th inning.
Yep.
And so then the Twins go to Kansas City and win the next day. And everybody, you and I talked about it last night, just had a flat vibe to the whole game. And Twins had a 2-0 lead. White Sox put together a big inning against Tommy Malone, and yet here the Twins come back today with another very impressive performance against Chris Sale.
it just seemed like, and seems like, just when it looks like they're just not going to give themselves enough of a chance because they don't do it the quote predictable, probable way, they come back and do something improbable, and this series is exactly the same. How are you going to possibly be flat last night when you have a chance to win the road trip 5-4 if you win that game and not have to worry about what you do against Sale? They don't play particularly well. The game is flat, and now you have to come back in order to have a 5-4 road trip, and really a great road trip. You have to beat Chris Sale again, and here they are doing it again. It's improbable, and I think really.
Chopper to third. Backhanded pickup by Plouffe. And Vargas drops the tag on a Brave. Nice play by Vargas on a high throw. 1 down.
Yeah, good play by the big man over there. But it's really the improbability of what they continue to do, or the way they continue to win all season long in improbable fashion, in a way that you say, well, that's not the easy way to do it. and today being an example of that, it's very encouraging that they just keep coming after them and keep coming out, getting after it. And who knows what they might be able to do in this homestand coming up. It's going to be a big one.
Against a Detroit team that's struggling, the Twins will face Kyle Lobstein tomorrow night. Foul back to the screen. And then Alfredo Simon will go on Tuesday. And basically, the Tigers are going to have a staff game on Wednesday because of the rainouts. Anibal Sanchez is going to start, but he's on a 45 to 50 pitch limit. Norris is going to back him up. Same thing there, 45, 50 pitches. And so then the Angels will come to town for 4, and then the Indians. We wanted meaningful September baseball, and boy, do we ever have it. 2 strikes to Garcia. He struck out looking his first time up. And he goes down swinging. 2 down. So tomorrow, Twins opening up the homestand, and it'll be Tyler Duffy back into the rotation against Kyle Lobstein, a lefty for the Tigers. Twins, it appears, will be. So what's next? Brought to you by CenturyLink. Well, appears that they will be a game behind the Rangers in the wild card. Cleveland beat Detroit in the first of a doubleheader, 7-2, beating Justin Verlander. And the Indians now at 500. Trace Thompson with 1 strike. Twins in between these long road trips just merely went 4-2. They took on a first-place Houston team, beat them 2 out of 3, beat the White Sox 2 out of 3 at Target Field in the last homestand. But that homestand book ended by 2 ominous yet very successful road trips. And you want a team to have a finishing kick. Teams that get to the playoffs and do something once they get there have that. And we might be witnessing that with this year's Twins team. 1-2. 2-2. It's Texas 8-0 in the 6th in Arlington over Oakland. Chuck to Vargas. Tonkin covers. And the Twins finish another winning road trip. 5-4 on this swing through a couple of first place ball clubs and then the White Sox. And the 2 road trips that went through New York, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Houston, Kansas City, and Chicago. The Twins went 11-8. And Tom Hanneman, the Twins dominated the White Sox pretty much all season long, and they finished the season series with a 13-6 mark.